farmers. Mountain back to Atlantic Ocean. Upon me hills to country. To educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah. Focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Reliable information. History. Talking about culture. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tough Talking Thursday on Focus on Liberia. My name is Danija, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Tough Talking Thursday, we're going to be looking at the Capitol Hill fire incident, what happened yesterday. There are new twists and turns in latest development in that fire. Who did it, and what is the police doing to bring those responsible to justice? Or was it electrical or whatever? We're going to find out. Also, Liberia to get MCC compact money. How much and what we're going to do with it? Good news. Now, our chopping open. Let me welcome Mr. Jimmy Eastbourne so we can talk tough. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Hey, my Christmas on you, Ja. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Mr. Dr. Clarence Pearson. Doc, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Jai. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. Hi to my fellow panelists and to our viewers out there. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to a good discussion tonight, as always.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Attorney Wanda Conyenen Freeman. Welcome, Attorney.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dennis. Nice to be on.
Let me welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If it is Thursday, it's Tough Talking Thursday. And we're going to be talking tough. Let's start with the money. It's being reported in the papers that Liberia qualifies for the second MCC compact of $500 million. This is, I think, we started to celebrate already because money is on the way. The country needs money. And so any little win is celebrated. Dr. Pearson, this is hallelujah time in Liberia. We are getting some money.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Interestingly, this is an administration that we usually would say manage your expectations. So I would like to say to Liberian people, passing the MCC scorecard is not the only criteria for winning the grant. You also must have met some other criteria that they will have to push to you in terms of maintaining some credibility in the areas that they've already scored you. But I want to say this is a good thing for Liberia. And I want to say thanks to the past and current administration for allowing us to have been able to achieve this so far. And we wait to see what the award process would be like for us. The last time I checked, Sierra Leone last year had made a pass and was in queue to have gotten that loan. But then there was some diplomatic pressure on them for some political tension in the country, and they were told if they didn't adhere to certain criteria or certain changes that the U.S. government wanted to see immediately, within the political tension, they would have lost the grant. and so they had to make some adjustments. So I'm worried that the situation of obtaining our country in terms of the riot, not riot, but the peaceful protests and how the police handle it, the way they're going about the fire incidents, investigation and other stuff, the capital impasse. I hope we can put all of these things into the right perspective so that it doesn't hinder our possible chance of getting our impact grant award.
But thank you, Anthony Freeman. This is what do you know about this impact and Labrador getting money? Walk me through a little bit of what happened before we got the money, what we did, if you know. This is grant money. We don't have to pay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a kind of new way the U.S. government decide to engage with developing countries so that they can show some progress on governance and development, good governance, and then the U.S. government can send their support. This is in contrast to maybe the way China or Russia approach issues, where they have a totally hands-off approach. They decide they're not going to interfere in your internal affairs. If they have something for you, they give it to you. While the U.S. decide they're going to set democratic governance, rule of law benchmark, and if you pass it, they will give it to you. So, that's good enough. Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy. I know you heard this. I want to get your reaction. We got grant money.
Okay, so getting the news that we are going to receive grant money is positive news. I think both administrations deserve credit, as we talked about, that it goes from April in one year to March the next. So most of that credit should be to the CDC administration, outgoing CDC administration, and partially to the current administration. Though I hear a lot of celebration, I think what our accomplishments should be celebrated more than the idea of receiving loans and grants from abroad. We need to celebrate achievements and not handouts. I think
How is that not achievement if we pass?
It's not. They drew up the merits of it. You can a lot of times organizations give you their parameters they want to see, but it's not necessarily the best parameters for the country to monitor. For instance, we want to see more employment. That is a great thing for us to measure our progress by. We want to see the number of children that are in school and not out of school. Truism. We want to make sure that they're completing elementary and secondary. That is a measure we want to see. We want to see production in the country, local production. It could be agricultural produce. It could be manufacturing. Those are measures that will actually impact the economic situation for citizens within the country. Now, this money, as we understand, is supposed to be one of the things the earmark is toward energy, toward the improving energy and access to electricity in the country. At this point, it was reported that only 2% of Liberians have access to electricity. So definitely, that's going to be a hindrance and an obstacle to actually developing the country and improving the welfare of the people. So those are the things we really want to look at. And that is when we should celebrate, when we find that the livelihood of the people have greatly improved. That's what I'd like to see. But this is a step in the right direction. You can't say it's wrong. It's more, but we need more. We need way more than these low-hanging fruit.
Thank you. Because the MCC scorecard measures certain things, right? Access to credit, rule of law, different things. So that's why I didn't understand when you say, well, this is not what we need. They look at the rule of law, government effectiveness, political rights, civil liberties, control of corruption, natural resource protection, children health, girls education, all those different things. So I don't understand when you say, well, this is not what we need. We need to look at this.
Let me make a comment on that.
Yeah.
Dennis, nobody is going to develop Liberia other than Liberians. And the benchmark for developing Liberians has to be designed and arranged by Liberians, because we are the only people who know what is good for us. So if the Americans set up benchmark and say this is good for Liberia, it may be good, but the benchmark that Liberians will set for themselves and say this is good for Liberia, that benchmark will be better than what the American will set and say this is good for Liberia. The MCC benchmark are set by America. So there is the American are saying this is good for Liberia. But when Liberians decide what is good for them and pursue it and achieve it, that is better. So MCC qualification is good, but no country develop on foreign aid, foreign assistance, foreign any kind of thing. When you develop your country internally, then other people want to do business with you. Then that business is what is going to propel Liberia development, not foreign aid. I think that's what I see Jimmy saying, and I'm on that same wavelength.
Anytime these things happen, I know the former Minister of Finance and Development Planning, they will have a celebration. It was one of those celebrations when he serenaded President Weah, George Weah, Mutoka, and all that, right? So anytime this thing happen, we look at credit. The government is getting this money. Who made this to happen? Is it the previous government? Is it this current government? What have you, Mr. Freeman? Does this credit matter?
Well, for the politicians, I think it matters because they are contesting for office. So one person wants to show, well, I did it, and the other person is saying, no, it's not you, it's me. But if you look at it overall, for the past 20 years, Liberia has been wallowing in poverty. And the poverty has been increasing. In fact, I think UN Development Fund, they have a list of countries that are considered least developed countries. Liberia has been on that list since the inception from the 1960s. Other countries have been on that list, they have graduated. And apart from the listing, you go to Liberia, you know that Liberia is an underdeveloped country. And so we have been receiving money, millions, hundreds of millions. Why haven't we developed? Because it's very simple. No foreigner is going to develop your country for you. And that's why I always advocate good governance, anti-corruption, accountability, and an end to impunity. Because those are the pathway to wean yourself of foreign aid and foreign assistance and start to look at foreign partnerships, foreign collaborations, stuff like that. I want people to come to Liberia to do business. I'm not interested in handouts. And while it is good on a charity level to get free money, but I want to see Liberia develop to the point where people want to come to Liberia to do business, not necessarily to come to Liberia to render aid.
Dr. Pearson, you started by giving credit to the previous administration.
Yeah. I think that's how objective Liberians should be for us to when your government does something good, you commend them for it. And if they're going wrong, you should let them know. You remember I said on the show repeatedly that the three factors I consider heavily that is affecting us is impunity, by elections results because of the people we elect, and sycophancy. And so this falls in the category of sycophancy. If I cannot tell them what they're doing wrong, I'll be wrong for doing it. Equally, so I should tell them when they're doing right. So I think the past administration have done good, and in terms of I think similar to where like you read this said, Mr. Jar had this as a project. All right, every single year he had it as a project to ensure that the country passed it. We passed it last year, and then we'll pass it again this year, making our chances even higher. But I want to dispel the false sense, of progress, like my colleagues are saying on the show, that we may have, like you see Wallo on the show will say, oh, Liberia is winning in governance and reform. So let's correct some things there, right? So number one, this for the past 2 years we failed in fiscal policy. So it means we're not managing our money properly. Our government is not managing our money properly. In fact, the last one on the show saying that they have legal laws that is stealing the money from the country already. All right. And another thing we failed in was trade policy. So we don't have a good trade policy. We flunk in that as well. And last year, Samuel Tua passed in that one, but this year we failed in that one. And it was the same Samuel Tua regime that we were calculating on. And then government effectiveness. We failed in government effectiveness as well. So we mean we're not governing well. And then another thing, we fail rule of law. We passed in rule of law last year, but we failed rule of law this year. So we fail on health, and it's a health expectation or whatever expenditure. Some health expenditure we fail on that. So which means we are not supporting healthcare as we're supposed to. We fail on education expenditure. So we're not supporting education. The University of Liberia is lying down in waste. And then we quickly got money to renovate, put money in budget to renovate the rotunda. And then we fill in natural resource protection. We filled that last year, we filled that this year. We fill in girls' education. We fill in child health. So these are critical areas that we fill in. So we cannot boast about anything here, but we can be grateful that they were able to consider us, and that we can use this as an opportunity to make improvement on those gains that we've already made. And I'm looking to President Boyka to take advantage of this and let us continue to make gains on this progress that we're already making. Thank you.
Thank you. But before I let you go, does it concern you how this, you were saying we fail in this one, we pass in this one. Does it concern you how we arrive at these things? What the calculation, everything that goes into that? Is this something that you can put your finger on and say, yes, I believe this is an objective measurement of what we're going through as a country?
So I wouldn't want to assume that I know it all, but I know for a fact from listening to Samuel, the former finance minister Samuel Tua, one time on an interview on this when Liberia failed 2 years ago, and he says that they gave them certain metrics that it should follow, and those metrics, whether it's in healthcare, education, other areas, are monitored by independent institutions that are functioning in Liberia, outside of Liberia. And they look at international reports like the World Bank report, the African Development Bank's report. They look at our national budget. They look at our health indicators, our GDP and other things. They look at those different indicators are used to see what progress we are making, like inflation rate. We saw the inflation rate was improved, it dropped down, and other kind of things. So they look at all of those changing dynamic indicators, and then they use them to see if they meet their benchmark, and then they score us. So now let us not mistaken this, right, Dennis? The indicators that are measuring for us passing this year is primarily majority of 2023. 23 months in this year, 2024 was captured. So I can assure you that all of the missteps that President Boyka is having right now is going to impact the next score, whether favorably or unfavorably. So he has to pick up his game, and he has to do well to maintain this compact if we're to maintain it.
Jimmy, you're not too excited about this. You call it handout.
Yeah, you see, is not an automatic moving of the needle. If you look at our budget, that spells everything. Where we have 80% is on recurrent expenses and salaries and maybe servicing debt. We can't improve the economy and the plight of our people when we're not investing. Now, if that money they get, if this goes completely toward developing, toward investment in local businesses or improving the educational standards for our youth, keeping them in school, because parents are struggling to pay tuition. Now, if this was something to support local schools and kids or hospitals, we need to really make an impact and not do something superficially. I'm seeing politicians trying to show progress, and it's very superficial. We need to be deep. We need to actually change the plight of our people and not simply gain political points. And that's what I'm afraid of. We're now seeking more to show off as success and not actually achieve success. So we really need to dig in and not be superficial about how we carry out the affairs of the nation.
Thank you.
Jimmy, let me underscore my point of what I was saying, that these things don't amount to much. So I got a chart here showing how much money Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf attracted to Liberia overall. And in her first term, she attracted 1.9 billion, not million, 1.9 billion. And in her second term, she attracted 2.8 billion. What happened to that money that came in? So I really want to stress the point to Liberian people. Nothing can replace good governance, accountability, and rule of law. Nothing can replace it. Not MCC compact, not China aid, European aid, Russia aid, nothing. If you want to develop, you have to start by managing your meager resources, stop wasting it, make accountability a key factor, and then other people will want to do business with you. It is doing business with you. That's how you develop. You're not going to develop by foreign aid. It may sound good, the money will sound big, but imagine, always remember that Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf brought in $4.5 billion in foreign aid. Where was Liberia after nearly $5 billion were poured into Liberia under the Ellen regime? What happened afterwards? Think about it. So for me, it's the nice thing to say if you're a politician and you pass a Millennium Challenge, well, it's nice to say and you get some bragging rights. But in terms of uplifting the poverty that you see in Liberia, is not going to do much. What is going to do much is if we retool our financial budget process, we take out the foolishness, we investigate people, prosecute them for corruption, and manage our resources like with common sense. Okay? Right now, they're not doing common sense because under George Weah, he was spending $122 million over 5 years on NSA. Joseph Boakai is on the rate to do the same because he started spending $20 million per year on NSA. So when you continue in that line, you're not going to get development, even if the Americans open the U.S. Treasury for you.
Thank you. And that was my question. Now, say getting the money is one thing. What we do with it is another thing. Let's look at what, and this is a good thing. I hope we get to 500 million. But what is it going to accomplish in your view? Anthony Freeman.
Oh, normally they focus on like energy generation. Sometimes they focus on good governance, like support for places like LCC and other areas that are integrity based. Sometimes they focus on health and social welfare. So if it goes into health and agriculture, that could be a lot of help. If it goes into energy, that could be a lot of help. But let me tell you, those things don't just have big names, because I worked in development for a while. I did some contract with USAID people. When they will obviously have American contractors coming to implement most of those projects.
Yeah.
And when those American contractors come, they're going to make, because like I was African, when I work for them, I make maybe around 200 a day. Sometimes I work with associates. Those associates, I bet they make around 800 or 1,000 a day. So by the time they finish paying those American contractors, not much is left for Liberia. That's why I keep saying, focus on yourself, what you can do for yourself. And once you look productive, people are going to come with business deals, not aid deals. They're going to come with business deals because they want to make business, they want to make profit. And they believe that by transacting with you, they can make profit. That is how you will develop Liberia. Aid, foreign assistance, they are what we call, using the common man language, and many, many more. When you already have, then I want and many, many more addition. But it cannot take you from poverty to prosperity. What is going to take you from poverty to prosperity is prudent management, accountability, rule of law. That's what's going to take you to prosperity.
And Council, let me add a little bit there, Dennis. Let me just add. Every year we get more than that free. $800 million of remittances is sent to Liberia every year. And what happens to that 800 million? That's not a debt. That is people sending money back to Liberia. What happens to it? It leaves the country almost immediately, because it is spent on consumer goods that are not locally produced, or very, very few goods are produced locally. That is why there has to be emphasis on local production. There has to be emphasis that puts Liberian people to work. If we continue at this rate, we'll have this egress all the time of any kind of money that comes in the country. The only way to keep money in the country circulating within the economy is the economy is more industrialized and our people are producing. And that is why every effort we make should be toward getting people more productive than they are today.
Thank you. And let's conclude on this, Dr. Pearson, is every time, and this is a good thing, I'm not trying to downplay it, but what we normally celebrate and be clapping for is small money compared to what, like even the township that you in. Okay, I think Carl Javier said the University of Minnesota, the annual budget is $4.5 billion. Just the university. This little place I'm going to take my kids to soccer practice. I mean, little elementary school, their budget. So 500 million, 100 million. Really, if you break it down, what can it do? But we seem to be very happy when we get it free. Yeah, free money is good. But Dr. Pearson, is this a winning strategy?
For long term, no, Dennis. When we were at the University of Liberia in the master's program, one of the courses that we studied had to do with international development, or just say development studies. And one of the things you will learn, and it is statistically proven, that foreign aid is a debatable issue, like the learned counselor is trying to project here. And there are positives and negatives to that. And I will just clarify briefly. When you are coming out of war, like Liberia was coming out of war, you could see why we need a lot of aid, like the counselor pointed out, because we didn't have the capacity to generate resources and manage it in a way that it yield revenue for us. So we're heavily dependent on foreign aid. So that is a good thing. But that's just for short term. The negative effect about that is that when you become too dependent on foreign aid, like the land councillor is saying, then you forget to build your own capacity to be self-dependent and self-sufficient. And I think that's where Liberia has been stuck for many years. And there are development students who say to you, experts who say to you, too much foreign aid, especially when you have outgrown the state should be begging for it. You give room for politicians to steal more. It enhances corruption. It also leads to ineffective management of the country. It undermines local economics and political system. Because first of all, the first thing that it does for you is that those guys bring that aid then to tell you where they want the money to go. You do not direct that money based on your own developmental needs. And and so I think I concur with all of my friends. I think the fact that we are getting this aid at this time is a good thing, and I want to thank the American government for that. But I want to side with the UP supporters who are saying America is not important. They don't need America. And with that mentality, then let them go back and promote agriculture. Let them go back and strengthen the extractive industry and increase our revenue collection through import and export trade. Let us deal with partnership more than begging for free money, because it's not going to be sustainable for us as we move on in our country.
Thank you. That takes us to our next topic. And if you are watching, this is Tough Talking Thursday. Congratulations, Liberia, you are eligible or qualified for 500 million. But let's see what that's going to do. The impasse in the House of Representatives is taking different turns. The last being, we saw the Capitol building in flame. There was some arrests made. The day before that, there was a protest action that saw the former presidential aide, Sekou Kalasko, in jail. I think he's now free. And then after the fire incident, there were persons of interest, including Safoko, who went there, Representative Frank Safoko, answered some question, and he came out declaring that he's now a free man. Jimmy, the new development in this fire incident, I know we discussed this at length yesterday. Based on the new information we got, what's your feeling as to what happened? And let me also mention that the IG, the Inspector General of the Liberia National Police, say, I mean, this is not far from arson. It got to be arson. President Bouakai said, those who did this should be brought to justice. It's an act of they are hooligans. This country is not a place for this. So there are already signals about what happened, that someone did this. It's not electrical fault or something of that nature. Based on the development, what's your feeling towards the investigation and what really happened?
Okay, we know for the past month there's been a lot of scrutiny at the legislature and at campus. It's been the focus of all the talk in town, the changing or the removal of the speaker. And then even recently, there were some incidences of some violence and whatnot on the very grounds itself, where legislators were trying to break in one door, and there were word of tear gas being let loose on the representatives. So with all that focus and scrutiny, you would have thought that they would have stepped up the security protocol on the campus. We saw a heavy presence of police there. The same day that that this incident occurred. How come then, with a heavier presence of security, something like this would happen? couple of days prior to this, if they want to claim it's an electrical, and me being from that side of the fence, they had problem with a couple of panel breakers over there. First, I thought when I saw that initially, I thought that might have been some foul play. But then they said came back and said, well, some electrical. So what were the precautions? What was the risk assessment, first of all? First thing you do, you check the risk assessments. Then what are the precautions you make so it wouldn't happen again? And you already saw that it has happened. Then what did you do? So either way, whether if it's electrical fault or if it's a type of terrorism or vandalism or whatever you want to call it, hooliganism, it's a failure. It's a failure. That place should have been secured. Either the wiring should have been, that area should have been sectioned off. This is what you do when you can't fix something right away in electricity. You isolate it so that it doesn't, you don't use it. You should have isolated that portion to prevent any further electrical mishap. Or who was there at night that no one saw that the fire starting? At least if it had burnt only a small portion, one would say, well, you're on duty. You're on your game. But the whole thing turned into an inferno. Were they asleep? These are failures, and it will happen. Failures will continually to happen if we do not do our homework. We are not thorough, and we stay superficial. These things will not stop. So Jimmy, superficial.
So Jimmy, where is this going with the latest development, with what the president said, with the release of Safoko, and then the investigation thinking, okay, this got to be arson. Where you think this is going?
That they're going to have to prove that. I don't. In my honest opinion, I haven't seen we be very successful against cases against people, and with that kind of track record, I don't see it happening. But let's say though, they do find people who are culprits, and this thing becomes a blown up because of the political indications. This may lead to something much more different, because once it becomes a political thing, then no telling where that might stop. We've seen war, we've seen all kinds of stuff. I don't even want to go that direction. So I just hope that they fix the problem quickly. And I heard that the chief executive is calling them to meeting, because that should have been done to preempt anything like this. Call them to meeting, let sober-minded people head and lead the group, so that this thing is over once and for all. But we don't want to see this turn into be something much more heinous than what it's pretending to be at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman.
Well, the statement of the president is some of the things that cause innocent people to go to jail, because you form a conclusion prior to the investigation. They say, oh, John Brown passed on this road, and right after John Brown passed, we saw a dead body. So it must be that John Brown killed the person. Oh, Safogo said he was going to burn down the Capitol, and then 4 or 5 months later, the Capitol burned down. So it must be Safogo. So he sent 3 truckload of police officers. That's why I said the law enforcement system needs total reform to get independent people over there, because the people who got there keep playing to political songs. When you have a fire incident, the first thing is to call a fire investigator, not police, because the police are not equipped to investigate the cause of fire. After the fire investigator tell us that this is arson, Then you call the police to find out who or, what persons were responsible for the arson. But first, we got to determine whether it was a non-arson or it was arson. We haven't determined, but Baka has gone there and said there were greedy people, there were people who want jobs or whatever they want, there were hooligans. I mean, that is just totally ignorant. But I assume, I don't have a very good high opinion of him anyway. I know him to be like incompetent and ignorant. So, but you call in a fire investigator. If you don't have them, hire the person from abroad. Okay, they're paying a lot of empty people thousands of dollars. Pay some of that government money and bring in a fire investigator to tell us what happened. If they say arson, then you go to the police. So I don't even understand the basis for the police even going after people now when the fire people have not gotten to tell us what caused the fire in the first place. So we have a problem, Dennis. We have a lot of incompetent people in authority, and that lack of knowledge, lack of know-how, lack of vision is causing a lot of problems in Liberia. I can tell you that for sure.
Thank you. Today, in the front page, is the House of Representatives chamber locked, changed, lighting cut off amid security presence. The chamber of the House of Representatives located in the annex of the Capitol building has been tampered with and its lighting system disconnected, plunging all offices, including that of Speaker J. Funati Kofa's office, into darkness. Dr. Pearson, from yesterday to today, new things have come up. What's your take on this whole fire business based on what we've seen, what heard, and known so far?
Thank you, Dennis. If you recall, the first thing I said yesterday was that the president's going to the Capitol building and then making the remark he made. I said one of the first things, the mistake he made was to have presupposed what the conclusion of the investigation of the fire is. That's why for me it is laughable when people say I condemn what happened at the Capitol building. I'm asking, what are you condemning? You condemning the electrical current that burned the building, or you condemning an unknown person you're assuming that burned the building? All of those things are uncalled for. You can regret the incidents. You can assure that there will be an impartial and investigation into the matter. You can call on experts within or out of the country to look into the matter and assure the public that you give them a speedy redress to the matter. But how will you condemn the fire? And I don't understand that. It doesn't make no sense to me. And then another twist I saw there again is that when I saw Speaker Kofa complaining today, his complaint was that the second floor got current, the first floor got current, but then the third floor, particularly his office space and the main chambers of the House of Representatives, there's no current. Somebody cut the wire. So I said, when I first heard him, I said, oh, maybe they tried to prevent the electrical shock from going to that area. But then I thought, if you got current on the first floor and the second floor, then why cut the wires upstairs? I think these things are not to be happening, and I want to connect it to this, Dennis. I want to connect it to the MCC compact, because you see, we have to sustain the compact. Just saying that you're going to get the compact, I want him, but we have to have those things happening in the country that will reflect what the compact is suggesting that we have improved upon, and I'm not seeing it, Dennis. So again, when it comes to the Safoko issue. Safoko said something when he came out of prison there. I saw people hailing him and dancing and lifting him up. He said, not Safoko, but Kalasco. He said some guys went to his cell 2 a.m. last night. In the morning, 2 a.m. before he got released, in the night. And the other inmates had to bang on the prison cell and cause so much disturbance that other people had to get involved, and then they were able to prevent them from taking out of there. And bear that in mind that we had that Liberian Guinean fellow who got removed from the Liberia Central Prison from South Beach 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning, and today he's not accounted for by criminal code A. These are bad for our country. And then Safoko, a certain representative, made a statement in the House of Representatives, on the floor of the House of Representatives, And then the police is calling him for questioning, but then take 3 pickup truck. And if you go on my page the other day, I show you the other day on my page where there were unmarked police vehicles in the country. Well-armed men on a black unmarked police vehicle, no rating of LMP, no lesson plate. I mean, just that police vehicle with tinted, and you see armed men on it. Those are, and then we see AK-47s and M16 in the hands of police. It's worrisome for a country that just came from war. So, Dennis, when I will conclude by saying, I think it is troubling. We need to realize that our country is still fragile. And like I did in one of my posts, listen, the burning of the Capitol building, the fire we saw there is a symbolic representation of how fragile our peace is. And then I close it by saying this: how can the president of the Republic of Liberia says that a monumental disaster had befallen the country, and then less than 3 hours later is having a dinner right across from the fire incidents against the Capitol, and the smoke had not yet ceased from the Capitol building? It didn't make no sense to me. It didn't show no urgency. It didn't show no leadership. It didn't show that we're in any state of shock as a nation coming from the presidency.
You said the president should not eat?
Oh no, the president can eat. He can eat in your house. But how can you have between 3 to 4 hours after the fire incidents at the Capitol and say you are in shock and you so vexed, you calling Liberians hooligans, and then you go the 10 steps away from the fire and hold a dinner in a grand style? My man, we should the country should be mourning if that way you want to ask me. We shouldn't be eating. We should be in sackcloth and ashes and praying for our country, not celebrating disaster. That's what it looks like to me. We need to be sensitive to these things.
Thank you. And let me what the president said. He described the fire as despicable, unpatriotic act. He said, we are a poor country. People are trying to help us, and others are bent on destroying this country. This is not a place for hooligans. This is a place for responsible people who are here to serve the Liberian people. Attorney Freeman, those are the words of the president. And you are saying...
Yeah, I said that's how innocent people are sent to jail. Because there is a conflict at the Capitol, and sometime during the conflict, a fire occurred. So it must be that the protagonist of the conflict caused the fire. That's the kind of faulty reasoning that got innocent people in jail. People have to be patient. A responsible leader will say, well, I don't have the facts. This thing has not yet been investigated. We will wait for the investigators. When they tell us what happened, if for any reason somebody did it on purpose, we will pursue the course of justice. That's what a responsible leader is. But I mean, if we still expecting responsibility out of Joseph Boakai, there's something wrong with us. This is a man who signed an $80 million gentleman agreement, Dennis, and he was not impeached. So you tell me, and I don't feel sorry for Fonati, because Fonati was in the position to censure the president for going ahead and signing an $80 million agreement and bringing it to the country. And whether we use those machines or not, is most likely Liberia will pay for those machines. Most likely. If you go by international arbitration, most likely will pay for those machines. So this is a man. So I don't expect sensible thing out of Boakai, because I mean he has shown himself to be lack of knowledge, lack of leadership, lack of even common sense. So you have to wait. And not even the police can investigate. God, I don't want to believe they have every tree on fire investigation. So this thing has to start with a fire expert to tell us what was the cause of the fire. If the fire expert said arson, then the police will start their investigation. Anything other than that, it's just like we under the Atai Center, you know, like the way we do it, like bro, we go under the Atai Center, no evidence, no knowledge, no nothing. We just go there, we drink Atai, and we talk a lot, and this and that. You can't run a country like that. And it's very disappointing from Mr. Boakai, because a lot of Liberians, not me, but a lot of Liberians put a lot of hope in him. They say, oh, they may have 50 years experience. But a 50 years of experience don't even know that after a major incident, there should be investigation before he open his mouth to say anything. I mean, it's very disappointing.
Maybe you know what we don't. Most of us don't know.
Yeah, but he should disclose it. He should disclose it so that we all know what he knows.
Jimmy, let's look at this whole House Speaker thing. Right now, we're saying, things have happened prior to the burning that we saw yesterday, and we're expecting that police presence should be there. So if these things are happening while police is there, that complicates the whole thing, right? With fire, and now today we're talking about disconnection. If that's true, that Funati office has no power and things like that. Where do you see this whole Senate Speaker thing going? I think
this thing has saddened thousands, if not millions, of Liberians. It's a punch in the gut. It's actually gut wrenching. We're trying to, get out of this dilemma we find ourselves in. And then one of the symbols of our democracy, the House of Legislature, is being burnt right in front of our eyes. This lends insecurity to many citizens throughout the country, because if we can't protect these prominent buildings, what can we protect? And that is why this is a security failure, without a doubt, because there were presence of security personnel there. How come the action wasn't taken? And I'm not sure. I'm not going to presuppose that this was a malicious act. I know this is what happened in many people's mind, but definitely, if it wasn't a malicious act, there was a failure elsewhere. Like I said, they knew that there was electrical problems a couple of days before this thing happened, and there are precautions they could have taken to avoid this, and they did not. And again, it keeps pointing. A lot of this points to the level of competence of those who are in charge. I'm not condemning our police force. I know I'm not condemning our experts that are on the ground, but the people in charge have to make the right decisions, And with all this speaker thing, is that where our focus should be? Because it looks like that they're battling over. They want to control the person. They want to control the budget. And is it really something going to benefit the Liberian people if Kuhn is there or if Funati is there? Which one is going to benefit the Liberian people? That is who the focus should be on. That is where the focus should be on. I think it's a big play they made for this whole politicking right now. I think it's a risky play. They may have their reasons, me not being a politician, but I really think there are other areas we should have focused on instead of who is Speaker of the House. At least in the first year. They couldn't even give it a year or two, like next year. Was it so important that this man is moved right now, that you put all these resources into it? And we know they put resources into it. Then there's the allegation of bribery, which nobody is touching, nobody's investigating. It spells more than what I want to imagine here, because there's a reason why you're not trying to investigate this, because there's some complicity somewhere. Because that would have been one of my first things to do. Okay, you can tell me about this bribery. Who gave you money? Who gave you money? Who gave you money? Where's this money coming from? But we hear nothing about it. We only hear that they want they are vying for speaker. The one block got on one speaker, the other block got another speaker. I think the Liberian people are losing because nobody's taking care of the business.
And Dr. Pearson, what does that tell us about where our priorities lie, right? For almost a month now, all we hear, whether Funati has a $1 million budget or Kuhn has a $1 million budget.
2 million.
Before the war, you'll be surprised that a representative were making somewhere around $300. Now it's a whopping $8,000 to $10,000 plus on just ungodly benefits, right? But that's not what we're talking about. Even the protest was about, oh, the rule of law. There's nothing on, hey, these people are making too much free money. You know, we have this in our budget that's supposed to be this. We are not doing this thing. The schools are failing. Right now, we try to do high school in my hometown, but it's just difficult. The kids are in the gold mines. Nobody cares anymore. Someone was giving me the statistics, say for 40 years, government has not built new public school in Monrovia, right? So why are we so hyper-focused on this other Funati or Kun, and we are not discussing, or people are not demonstrating on issues that are going to actually impact and change lives? Dr. Pearson.
You see, thank you, Dennis. You see, for a good leader and for good leadership and good governance, you can tell that a leader is good when the leader is upholding the agenda that the leader has put forth, for which the person is in power. Let me give an example. We talk about the arrest agenda, right? Rule of law is one of the strong pillars in the arrest agenda, but we've broken all the rules that we can possibly break, and we've challenged the Constitution as we can possibly do. Not only that, when we are called to question about the rules we're breaking, some of Boyka's cabinet, President Boyka's cabinet, is brave enough to take Boyka appointee over the how they call it, this document is supposed to govern them. How do we call it? The one that is supposed to adhere to and not hold two positions at the same time.
Code of conduct.
The code of conduct. They took the ombudsman to the Supreme Court. The president had to bring them back together again and say, listen, what you guys are up to. But let me ask this, right? In any serious country, Dennis,
so
will the police director still be holding up title when he said the Capitol building has been sealed under his protection, and then right after a major protest where the president was present to sign a book of condolence and that building got burned, would that person still be keeping a job?
So why are we not focused on these things? The demonstration yesterday was talking about whether Fonati get job or Kun get job, for instance. So why aren't we focused on things that matter? Why aren't there demonstrations on the actual issue? I saw people, I would die for Fonati. Why are we dying for something that will lift the country forward?
Mr. Dennis, everything is tied around the rule of law. In the absence of the rule of law in the Constitution,
what is this rule of law? What is the rule of law?
And let me say this: there are other demonstrations, there are other protests happening in the country, rather than they don't have the kind of voice that we see in others who got the political sway. Today, as we speak right now, today there was a protest by individuals from my community, Abitaba Road, who were protesting for a young man who had died the day before the protest and was found in the community. A young man who had graduated from the Stars Institute. Just today, there were also protests from health workers. Some health workers, not all, but some health. So a lot of people are disenchanted. Now,
but these things don't get national attention. And you keep mentioning the rule of law. Let's talk about the rule of law. We got a lawyer here. What is this thing about the rule of law that you keep mentioning?
So let me summarize it this way. In Liberia, when we had the 1980 stuff, breakdown of law and order, there was devastation. 13 people lost their life on the pool. Majority of people fled into exile. Some of them have never gone back home. They had all the children in exile. They have never gone back home. Fast forward 10 years later, 1989, breakdown of law and order. We lost 250,000 people in cold blood. Total breakdown of the entire infrastructure of our country. Mass poverty and destruction. So that's why we keep emphasizing President Boyka needs to know that is the priority. The priority for us is constitutional governance and respect for the rule of law. Because if you remove that, there's no development. And let me leave that. I mentioned that too much. But again, Dennis, let me say, look, our politicians are greedy, Dennis. And I know Anthony said it the other day. You are giving hard time. What caused the greed? But they are greedy. Can you imagine these guys left their constituency? Some people, I was just back home with communication in Liberia. Water star, red leg, dry, Dennis, dry. The kind of Christmas we used to have back in the day when they say Christmas.
Well, we know water in water side.
Yeah, and you know when they say Christmas
No,
come, you see.
you said the people are greedy. Who feeding them? Ain't it us?
No, our national budget, and I never was on the show the last time. They have legitimate stealing and corruption in the country.
But we are not demonstrating against it. That's the point I'm making. Let me bring in Cornelius Freeman here.
Yeah, we have a problem with our value system. And it's not a political problem. What does the average Liberian man value? Form, what we call show, morale. If you go to Liberia today and you put up a show, get a big car, move around and splash some money, most likely you will get away than if you go and maybe, you know, look average or something like that. Even if you're eloquent intellectual, the Liberian people will say, oh, that book will eat. You know, we had a former education minister who even said that book will eat. So because the first thing is the decision who to be your leader, who to be your representative. People go to Asia and steal money and come back and share it in the community and they become representative. They went to Asia and they did black money scam and they came back with money they share in the community. When I was contesting as a VP candidate with Oscar Cooper, people said in the community that I was mean. Even though I had a hand pump in my yard, people were coming to do that. And I was like working with the community in every project, but they said I was mean. As in, I didn't go around the community, right? And divide money. And when they loot that money, you can divide like that. Either you got it from Asia through 419 scam, or you stole government money. Anybody who works honestly for the money is not going to go around the community sharing the money. But if you are competing against people who stole thousands and thousands of government money and they have it, they can share it around. And because the Liberia value system from the ordinary people, I'll tell you one other thing. A group of young people came to me and said, they came at that time and said, oh, our VP, blah, blah, blah. And they wanted money from me that morning. I said, I'm not in the mood to be giving people money like that. What I want to, if any of you want to go to school, go bring the information sheet, I'll pay the school fee. And I was scared that morning because I was making a commitment. And I thought there were about 20 or 30. I thought some of them would have gone and gotten the information sheet and come with it. Out of that 30, not even one went for information sheet to say, okay, say you throw up a challenge that we should go and bring information sheet. Here is the information sheet, pay the school fee. So we have a value system from the voters.
Why I didn't see you when I was going to school? But anyway.
You were running for VP.
The value system is that we let people who put up a show, share money, buy liquor, have drinks. Those are the people we value and we elevate to leadership. And now when those people get to leadership, they do what they know, you know, looting, stealing, destruction, stuff like that. So it's coming from the average citizen. What do we teach our children? What do we teach our young girls and boys? The value system is degraded. And that value system is producing the kinds of leaders that we have. In what country will someone like Makio, after being sanctioned by the US government, get voted into office? In what country? Tell me the country. In what country will someone like Bill Twelve, after being sanctioned, get elected? In what country will someone like Kun, who was booked for budget manipulation to the tune of more than $1 million, be voted into the office? And the people start saying, on top of voting for him, we agree, meaning we don't care. Anything you tell us, we don't care. We will vote for these people. So the only thing that will bring Liberia back to the senses is suffering. When the people they put
We're
in
suffering
power,
enough. We're not suffering enough.
no, more additional. So
More
the people
suffering
they will
again.
put in power, when those people suffer them, and suffer them, maybe when the suffering is to the extreme, they might think differently. But the value system
It will get
that is
worse.
producing the kinds of leadership is causing destruction in the country.
And Jimmy,
Yeah.
we have talked over and over about ethics on this platform.
Yeah, we have. I like to bring up I saw a clever quote today on Facebook. I wouldn't mention her name, but it was a quote by a guy called Jimmy Breslin. He described politics as the theatrical use of mirrors and smoke, using techniques to distract people, create illusions of progress and competence, and catering to what people want to hear. What we see is politics going on. They make you think that this is where you want, who you can support, and they've made a very good go at it. But poverty in itself can be disaffecting, because when you're disaffected by poverty, you do tend to do things naturally that you wouldn't do ordinarily, because your morals have dropped, because your physical needs are so high. If you look at the pyramid where it describes man's needs, belonging, food, and then a sense of fulfillment, when you can't get basic food, you always sell your own children. So a lot of this is our poverty. Our poverty has disaffected us.
That poverty is in Nigeria. It's in Sierra Leone.
Exactly. So I disagree on that point. I mean, the Sierra Leoneans have poverty. The Ivorians are also poor. They may not be as poor as us, but they are.
The Nigerians are even worse than us when it comes to poverty. When you go into the north, every car stop the lineup. You can eat the bread, the little tip. Soon you put it down, 10 people run to it. They come up to you with their bowls.
While I agree, poverty does exist. But it doesn't mean that it's not a factor. But what can you do what are we doing to counteract that? And just what Councilor Freeman was alluding to. Are we teaching anything about ethics?
It's just like what you were saying, when you poor, then you become unethical. I mean,
yeah, in some respect, but Liberia can use it as an excuse because all the neighbors are similarly illiterate, somewhat, and somewhat poor. So Liberia can use that excuse.
I think we lower our educational standards are very low.
But we're probably better off than Guinea. We're probably on the same level like Sierra Leone.
No, when you talk about education,
yeah,
no, Guinea is ahead of us.
No, because we have had a university maybe 100 years or so before even Guinea.
Oh, that's not what I'm talking. It's not the length of time. It's what you are producing.
Let me interject for a second, Jimmy.
Yeah, go ahead.
And on this topic, look, listen. Yeah, I know poverty is a factor. I know Councilor Freeman is saying let the people suffer small. Let me tell you something. Look, some of the not all, but some of the politicians are genuinely loved by their people. It is not about what they gave them. It is not about. I was in Liberia. I lived in Liberia. I saw people literally print their own T-shirts. The simple calling poor printed their own T-shirts, or their own cloth to fix their own hair tie, whatever.
And you think that's love?
Placards. They printed their own placards. However, and they campaign for people. So people, I think the politicians are just not fair to their own country, and they're the one are quick to tell people they're not patriotic. And they don't love the country. They put that kind of rhetoric in the politics. But there are Liberians who really love their country. They love their leaders, but the leaders are not fair to the people.
Is it because what they're expecting? Because when you get there, you're going to give me handouts, so let me put you there. Or you love these people, or you are blinded by love. That even though you know that they are incompetent, they can't do the job, but because you love them, so you put them there.
They don't know that they're incompetent.
Exactly. Our people don't think like, oh, this man, he's not competent. No, that's not what they think. They think that they look at the aspect that if you love the country, you will do what is right to push your country forward. That's why they make you leader. Don't forget, our cultural orientation was that our initial traditional leaders were not people who went to school, but they had the wisdom to lead. And they were honest with the people in the village, in the towns. Our paramount chiefs, our town chiefs, our clan chiefs, they were honest old people. And if you needed them to guide you, they guide you honestly. But not our modern day politicians, those who went to school, where Western education, we see all the good things outside. We come out to our own country, not out of us. I don't want to, before somebody can bash me up yet. But you go back home and you think you got all the education, all the principles, you know, all the systems that work, and you go back home, you do something totally contrary. Because I don't know why. I don't know. We need prayer. Maybe we need prayer. I think we need prayer.
Thank you. If you watching, this is Tough Talking Thursday. Call the number on the screen to be part of the conversation, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403-pound. I don't know if any of you used to listen to Dr. Sawyer that like I did. Dr. Sawyer, who talk about Liberia has a mosaic. He says there's a big picture. If one piece of that picture is missing, we're not complete. He also foresaw a day where we're all going to be united and dance to one tune, and that's the Gribble Band. So I'll play that Gribble Band for you as we listen to our callers to come in. Let me bring on our first caller here, and that's James Colley. James, you are live. And you have a minute, please.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Thank you for letting me in again tonight. Thanks to all the panelists. Dennis, I listened to the conversation. I just want to chime in with my little 2 cents. To be honest with you, Liberia is at a crossroad where it needs great help. You know, there are 2 things I want to touch on. I've always said one of it, and people kind of, shied at it. We don't have system. And when I say we don't have system, it means we don't have economic system with structure, political system with structure. And if you have time, you want me to elaborate on those, I could, but not at this time.
Yeah, not tonight.
I don't think I can do that right now. The second thing I wanted to touch on is the security aspect. Dennis, the building they're talking about there, I have been to that building. And even up to the Supreme Court upstairs to the secretary office. There is no barrier. There's no limitation. When it comes to physical security, anybody can walk in there and put anything anywhere. I mean, this is something shameful. I have really held back to say this because it just kind of exposed some of the vulnerability of our, very important areas. The police, you see there, the police believe in different kind of security, like one of the panelists were talking about gun and all of that. Security nowadays is not holding guns in your hand and say, fully loaded, move. That's not the era we're in right now. When it comes to security, it's on different level. I can tell you in just a little bit in cyber, I can enter a room and just not say anything, just by looking at the inscription on the wall, it will give me an insight how to infiltrate. I can enter a place, just the reception of the people, looking at the mood, their faces, it will tell me a lot about vulnerability. So they need a different level of understanding how security works. So when you talk about the Capitol building, you have police there with guns and whatever. But there were also people all around. There's no barrier. There's no restriction. So we have to really streamline when we talk about what we say system. I've had this discussion with a few other people. System without structure and processes, procedures, it's not system. And we're in trouble. I don't want to name buildings. I went to the foreign ministry. I got passport there. I went there, filled out some kind of form, and somebody took the form and went somehow got the passport. I mean, I don't like talking about these things. Sometimes I just sit and cry in my heart, honestly.
Thank you.
We have a problem. But when you say Liberians understand things differently in our country. When you say it's a level brand, man, you think for America, America. I have been to the bank.
Thank you, James.
You're right in front of the desk. Somebody walked away with the computer open, the screen all open. So if you have a USB, you can easily infect that computer and the whole system will be compromised. But when you say this, they say, oh, you think that America is the for America. Look, my people, I am telling you, okay? Some of you may not know my background. You think, oh, this guy just come about. Look, I work.
Yeah, we have more. Sorry to cut you. We have more callers. I want to bring them, but thanks for your contribution.
All right, thank you.
All right,
for letting me in.
Thank you. Let me bring in Bendu. Bendu, you're live.
Oh, hi, Dennis. How are you?
Great.
Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am. Go
All
ahead.
right. Yeah. How are you guys? Thank you for the show. I've been listening to the happenings in Liberia for the last couple of days. And it's disappointing. It's very disheartening. Words are not enough to describe what's happening to our country. But I think I'd like to answer to your question when you always ask, where do we go from here? I think one of the things I have learned in this country is that people put in time to what they are doing. So even though, hello?
Yeah.
Even though you will see a person commit a crime, and everybody will see that person commit that crime. Yet America will investigate. And I think the reason why they investigate is because they want to know why it happened and how can we avoid it. So I really, 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 from the bottom of my heart, wish that even if they found out that this fire that happened yesterday was caused by a person or was caused by electrical socket, they should investigate. There should be a real detailed investigation going on so it can't happen again. So we can avoid it. And I mean, that's the only thing that will fix our country. We need to really put in time and we need to have some passion for our people.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody could have died last night.
Yeah.
Anybody could have died yesterday. Because it happened the time where there were people, I mean, it was in the day, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. And people who are being out building. So really, I'm not, I mean, what the president did is what we call a 7 or Monday morning quarterback. It's like he's doing a water cooler quarterbacking.
Yeah.
He should have done this a long time. Not getting involved as the president, but talking as a leader, as a father, to calm the nerve of the people. He saw the tension that was building up. And he didn't come out to say anything, but then he came out to insult the people. Where the black guy. So I really wish that's black guy. I really wish you can investigate. Really. So it can happen next time.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bendu. Our next caller is Call Family. Call, you live.
Hello, everyone. I'm not going to talk for very long. I just wanted to make 2 quick points. The first thing is ethics in every society It's something that is taught. It's built into national curriculums for education. Most countries in the world that are functioning, the government comes up with a set of rules and guidelines that they want their citizens to abide by, and they go out of their way to implement that, not only in education, they implement it into curriculum, they also implement it into even pop culture. Government is involved in the minds of people. Yes, through in America here, what they did was they had sitcoms and shows to teach people about nuclear families, to teach people values. There's a moral to every story. And the majority of the culture is bombarded with these ideas of right and wrong, regardless of what you believe in your home, regardless of what you learn in your mosque or your church. When you live in a country, there's certain sets of rules and ethics that guide everyone. And there will be outliers, but the majority of people become voluntarily compliant. And then the government can deal with punishing outliers. But what we did in Liberia after we had a total breakdown during the war, there were some breakdowns before the war, which is what led to the war. But when it was completely destroyed during the war, there should have been a period of re-education and reorientation of the society. They didn't go and take this process of teaching anti-tribalism. Instead, they exacerbated it, legitimized it. You know, our administrative districts, our counties, people believe that those are tied to tribe. Liberia has become so tribalized. Liberia has become so ethnic-centered. This is not how countries function. And this is not how Liberia was designed. Even the lawyers in that country, the Bar Association in Liberia, they tie your bar, where you take your test, to your tribe. So even if you're born in Montserrat, but you're a Mono woman, you must go to Nimba to sit the bar. You Kisi, you must go to Lofa to sit the bar. Even if your great-grandfather came from Lofa, it doesn't matter, you Kisi man, go to Lofa. I mean, it is absurd, and we don't even think about it.
Yeah.
The process of re-education, whoever Liberia is going to bring, this current education minister, she's very surface level in her approach to resolving the issues. It's much deeper than I believe that she's just a functional bureaucrat. We need a reformist. We need someone to say, education is the solution. The crux of our problem is based in our education system. And it needs to be a national call to action in every sector of government and private sector to reorient our people around this ethical code. Bad ethics are taught, good ethics can also be taught. This is all learned behavior. And the good thing that we have in our favor is when behavior is learned, it can be unlearned as well. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Carl. Let me take our next caller here is Flomo Livingston.
Hello, Mr. John.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the show. Look, for me, people saying the president should not speak and should wait until the investigation is completed. Who does that in the country? So you tell me when the 9/11 happened, I'm not going when George Bush spoke, and should I wait until they investigate before you speak?
No, they didn't say that.
No, but they saying the president should not.
No, the president concluded that bad people did it, that hooligans did it. They say you shouldn't say that until the investigation is complete.
Well, but that good person will go do things like that. That bad person will do something
but
like that.
But you don't know whether the electrical fault or that people set the fire. We don't know yet.
Yeah, but then that his opening saying hooligans and stuff because from the incident, so he can't say he didn't do that.
You know, when George Weah did it, we say it was bad, right? The people were in the car. He said that girlfriend, boyfriend. He reached conclusion before the investigation, so that the same thing they're talking now.
Yeah, but I did that before. This one, the president did not call name. I was talking about specific people, two people that happened.
Yeah, he said our girlfriend and boyfriend. How he know that? He didn't know.
Well, like I said, you are talking about the people in the car. So what I'm trying to say, Mr. Jai, is if the president
Flomo, this thing here when the people we don't support, we can see it clearly. But then when we support the people, we don't want to talk it, right?
No, the thing, my point I'm trying to say is the president was not wrong for saying that bad people did it and hooligan. People, they call people in America hooligan. Hooligan are not good people. They say around the world.
How the president know that hooligan did it?
But from what happened, where the fire took place in the where the majority of black were doing their session, that where the fire that where it didn't happen. Why would it just be electrical problem right there?
Okay,
that's my problem.
Okay, go ahead.
So my problem I'm trying to say is the president did it right. If the president did not speak, the media can say, "Oh, the president being quiet, he's not talking." Now the same way people are accusing the president of taking side. People are saying, "Why the president not speaking?" The president did not want to speak in the whole problem because the same thing that he was further. That's why the other people are saying, "Oh, the president has taken side." That's why the president did not want to speak in the whole. Representative and whatever that's going on. And I said thanks to the president for not interfering in there. Whatever that happened, it's all blaming the representatives, the people. You get people want to accuse the president. Someone want to die for Fonado Kofa. Fonado Kofa won't you again be die for him. Now you want to go die for him for a little, whatever reason. So look, we are the same problem. We are our own problem, Mr. John. Look, until like I said, we all want back our own wrong. The same thing that the president doing today, he's back in his own side. We all do it. So it's not until we all can change our mindset that our level will be.
Thank you. Thank you. They say the fly that can move from behind the dead body, you follow it all the way to the graveyard, they will bury you away. All right, let me bring in former councilman James Lassa. Mr. Lassa, you're live.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Thank you. I have to say that you were just about nearly 100% speaking my own mind on the show tonight. I thought you were really challenging, and I have to say that that was a great position. Now, Dennis, I want to say this. I'll be speaking to my friend Attorney Freeman, but JMB, Dennis, the statement he made can be looked at in two ways. One is the burning of the Capitol that has evidently hurt a lot of people very deeply. Didn't happen in vacuum, in isolation. It happened within context. Okay? When those guys, the first day the thing happened, when those guys tried to go to the regular chamber, they were forced to stop from going, insulting one another's mothers and others. So that was, and those guys went to the other session, and they followed them. They broke the doors. Then they used tear gas and spray and pepper spray the guys. And then they went back and vandalized all the chairs. And then there was attempt, small incident of fire in the same place near the majority speaker office.
And was there any arrest made? Was there any arrest made? All these things you're talking about, the vandalism.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there is context. It's not,
what I mean, if we have state security, we have capital. So if these things are happening and there is no arrest made, right? What is
this is the thing. You can't have the cake and eat it. But then I want to add that it is not without context. It's a series of things. And then when the police went and arrested some people, Marvin Cole led a gang of him to the police station and forced for them to release the culprits. Undergo investigation right near the police station there.
The police allow him to do that? The police allow him to do that?
Oh, I was so upset, Dennis.
What kind of police is that a civilian will go and forcibly release people from police custody?
Well, the people that's why my state called yesterday. The people are not educated. Lawmakers feel that.
No, I'm talking about the police. Would the police allow a civilian to go in there and forcibly remove people in police custody?
That's what I'm answering you. I said, yesterday, the people are not educated.
You mean the Inspector General?
They cannot be arrested. Say that again?
No, the Inspector General. Why would the police allow people to go there and take people from police custody? Don't they know?
So it's political business. People feel that lawmakers are not supposed to be arrested.
Who the people? You mean the police? No. Not people. You talk about the police. Is that what the Gregory Coleman feels? Is that why he allow it?
Well, then there's a next level to it. If he, I think he knows that he will arrest him. But if he arrests him, then what comes after that? If he have 4 or 5 lawmakers,
so he can't implement he can't do his job because of what people will say.
Well, I don't know whether he has the capacity. When you talk about a whole political party that is known for violence and using petrol bombs.
All right, go ahead, Jimmy. Let me give you the chance to land. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say. There is context. So the president is 80 years old. That is a man of the old order. Baka is an old school legend of the system. He knows what an otherwise secret setting is in that building. Is well respected and admired. And I believe he was emotional and he came and saw it. He was upset to go to slip to that manner extent. To me, it's not all that grievous. To be frank, as much as it is not right, it's not the best thing. I don't think it means that much. Because again, will come back by the way the fire service has established that there was no electrical fault, that it was as a result of ignition, liquid fuel.
You saw the report? Did you read a report?
Hold on, Jimmy.
I read a preliminary report.
Okay.
I will not speak without evidence. I don't speak loosely, but then there is it. Now, what I want to say is that my friend Freeman, Anthony Freeman, my dear brother, let me say, I thought you came across as extremely harsh on GMB. I will ask you as a friend, I really admire you. I try to moderate your tone a little bit. And I think you really have reasonable justification for that level of anger, but you express it, especially for your level of, sophistication. I don't think it's really a balance because JMB, if you frankly look at what JMB has achieved, there are metrics that we can measure. There are not even any of we can come anywhere close to what he has achieved in just under 11 months, over 10 months. He has done a lot. So don't be talking to him like he's lazy or he's silly or he's not competent. I think he's trying to express the sentiment some of us have, but that is just too aggressive and may not be fair. Frankly, for me, I have committed myself to supporting the VP. I have that inner feeling that he means well for the country, and I think he's going to deliver. He's old. I think there is some level of tolerance for corruption. That we have people like Martin Colley and other people there to fight. So I'm not fighting. Some of us are here to push the agenda to make sure he succeeds. But I just had to talk to you. I'm going to moderate your tone a little bit. I'm not saying it's wrong, but just moderate it. After all, he's done a lot of good things, I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anthony Freeman.
Yeah.
That was advice for you from the former TLA member and former
my father always told me that the group was the thing that in your hand and what they're asking you to put down. The thing that in your hand, because you pick it up along the way. Well, now they want in your blog. Even if somebody asks you to put it in your blog, it will be a waste of time. I'm a tough talking person. I'm a straight shooter. I've been speaking that way from as far as I can remember, go back to my childhood. So the idea that I will come on the show and sugarcoat something, I mean, if somebody stole from the country they stole, what am I supposed to say? JB went out and signed a gentleman agreement. Have you ever saw a president sign a gentleman agreement? What am I supposed to say? $22 million was squandered on Mott Road. What am I supposed to say? Okay? He got people in his office committing crimes. What am I supposed to say? So, look, if you're looking for a soft-spoken person, Bonner Freeman is not that person. They got a diplomat here, Jimmy is here. You got Pearson, the academician, the new progressive. Bonner Freeman is a firebrand.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you get him the way he is, and that's it. I'm like, what do you call a porcupine god, right? This is Tough Talking Thursday. So, I mean, Waka is incompetent. So, there's no other way to it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He's very incompetent. He's divisive. And I'm going to say it every time I come on the show. All the time. Every time.
Thank you. Jimmy, 1 minute. Your response to the callers.
Well, there were some mixed calls there. I can hear the emotion. People are attached to their leaders, and they feel that emotion. But I want to tell the Liberian people this one thing. if you allow your emotion, you know, the old people used to say something before, do not let your sympathy exceed your interest. I do understand having respect for elders, and I revere everybody of authority. You'll never see me getting in their face. But when you ask me my professional opinion, I said this was a security collapse. I'm sorry. There's no way to sugarcoat it. And if you don't look at it like that, it will happen again. So when you say, okay, Eastman say this is a security collapse, what does that mean now? Mean next time you make a proper risk assessment. They could have avoided, if that was electrical, it could have been avoided by isolating that area. If it was a personnel done by arsonists, they had police presence. There should have been adequate police presence and attention so that nobody could get in there and cause something like that. And lastly, when it did start, what was the response time? We should have had much better response time. Fire incendiaries are becoming a commonplace in Liberia. What are the precautions being taken place? We'll wait till someone else burn down before we take precaution. So this is what we have to do. You have to be proactive. You can't just let life doesn't just happen to you. When it happens, then you next time you know what to do so you don't happen. That is why we need to be sober and honest with ourselves when we make assessments and not be sympathetic. That's all I got.
You mean sober, not calm. So let's conclude on this one, right?
I respond to the callers, or Dennis.
No, you don't need to respond.
Give me 30 seconds. I heard
let's end on this one. Capitol building is burned down. It got to be repaired, right? What do you see? You State of the Union is coming. They're doing budget hearing and all that, all those different things, right? It took us a little over 10 years to repair one room at the executive mansion. I just saw something on Facebook. I don't know if it's true. They say $1.8 million for the repair. I said, how did you arrive at this so quickly? So what do you see, Dr. Pearson? You can respond to the callers in that same. What do you see when it comes to the repairing or going back to section, or do we what becomes of the Capitol building going forward?
So yeah, before I get there, let me just one of the callers talked about speaking in context when it comes to the fire and how the president spoke, and the caller chose to use the rift between the lawmakers as a premise for which the lawmaker will go and put his own office on fire. It doesn't make no sense to me, unless we lost all sense of morality here. But let me talk about context. We have according to the fire service in Liberia own record, understatement, we've had 893 fire incidences in the country since 2018 to 2024. And majority of us are aware of the number of fire incidences that we have. And the most high profile fire incidences happened under this, during 2024. I want to say ammunition, but 2024. Include the UP Party headquarters, UP Party chairman house, include Fanatic Kofa house, include Sir Joseph house. And these are people who nearly lost their lives in the process. And now we said and for that caller to understand context, the chief of our police, the IG, said that the police are taking charge of the property, and they have violently dispersed citizens from that property the day before the fire. So why is he staying in office? Why is he the one leading this issue? Be called for questioning as well. And then last, on that issue of contest, listen, if the president walk over to the fire scene and say, somebody put this thing on fire, who they gonna put there? He become a prime suspect of the case. He's a witness. He's a state witness. He should be called by the police to give evidence as to who is putting the building on fire. So what are we talking here? Let's leave that. So let me say this, Dennis. Those guys, I don't know. Jah, the president, misspoke when he saw the fire. That Jah, the Senate just misspoke by putting 1.8 million in the current budget. You know how many times we put money in the budget for the executive mansion in 12 years? How many millions we put every budget period?
Do you think they should fix that capital so they will go back there, or we should just close it and have and let them meet to the RJ hotel?
It's a historic set. Now let me tell you. Let me get some conspiracy theory down close, right? I got two
No,
conspiracy theories.
don't go to conspiracy. If the people, if they are saying, okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
But no
conspiracy
conspiracy.
theory number one: the majority of Black understands that they are not recognized as legitimate lawmakers, and they know that they have to operate in the official chambers of the House of Representatives. And they know that the SONA is coming up. The president is going to give the SONA. If the president walk in that joint chamber, Jonathan Kofa will go and sit in the chair of the speaker, and he's got to lead that session because he's a legitimate.
I'm proud of you.
So to carry the whole program outside of the Capitol building, so they burn it. So the president is right. Somebody burn it, and maybe he knows who burned it.
No, do you think we should fix it?
Oh yeah, we should fix it, Dennis. We should fix it. We should fix US first. The UL opposite the Capitol building. I think we should fix it first.
That's what I mean. I mean, other buildings are being destroyed for a long time. Why should we fix the Capitol?
We should allow the Senate and the House of Representatives should hold session in RLJ, and we should fix the UL campus. And I'm being sarcastic.
And should we cut their money to fix it?
Oh no, they shouldn't get paid for the last 3 months that they were in office. They shouldn't get paid. And if we were to build that Capitol building, all of their benefits and salaries should be seized, and we use it to renovate the property, including new vehicles for the next 2 years that are supposed to come in.
And that's where the president comes in, right, with the bulletproof. Jim, Anthony, how do we look at fixing or not fixing, or what should be the response to the Capitol, the Capitol Hill, that fire? Should we fix it? Should we not? Should we take money from them, or taxpayers should pay for it?
Well, it's obvious they're going to use tax money to fix it, whether we like it or not. They're going to use tax money. But we have a much more serious problem in the country, and that is the allocation of the national budget. Should the government alone, just operating the government, use 90% of that money? It's a serious problem because we have a population of 5 million people. How many people work for the government? Maybe 75,000, maybe 80,000. Why should 75,000 people consume 90% of the resources of the country? It is a much bigger problem than when we face the Capitol building, when we don't face the Capitol building. And that is the question that if the representative and the senator do not answer, the Liberian people have to stand up and demand that 90% of the government budget cannot and should not be spent on government alone. Maybe government can take half of that. The other half should go to development so that the ordinary people can benefit. That's not what we have seen over the past years. We have gone from 70 to 80 to 90. Right now, Mr. Bwaga is around 95%. And that is a far more important problem than whether we fix the Capitol building or we don't fix the Capitol building.
Thank you. Jimmy, what do we do with the Capitol building?
Yes.
Somebody was even saying we should even have one or the back, not unit cameras now, not back camera. So yes, as a result of this,
there's a lot. Definitely, we need to employ new technology. We need to employ a better technology than we have. That is a fact.
Part-time legislators.
Yes, those are ways to cut the budget.
Here's the thing, though. Listen, here's the thing. There are a way for us to we call it risk prioritization. Something can be the top of the list is something that is urgent and important. Okay. Then you come to important but not urgent. Then you come to get urgent but not important before neither urgent. In other words, if you get a phone ringing, that phone is urgent. It may not be important, but it's ringing now, so you might seek to answer it. In a nutshell, we have to prioritize how we use the little funds we have. I honestly believe, as much as it is important to fix that place, I will prioritize schoolrooms, LU campuses, and other maybe some other health. I don't have all their needs right in front of me, but you're supposed to do it by priorities. What is the priority? What we have seen, just what Councilor Freeman was just talking about. We've seen providing luxury emoluments and benefits to the legislature has been top priority before the poor people in the market or poor people in school or in the interior. I don't see that being correct. I don't see why we must give these people this affluent, luscious life when we are still living in squalor and they're not doing the work we send them there to do, and that is to bring about development. They shouldn't be living in lofty places and we suffering. It should be commensurate with their work, with their progress. So for me, yes, it's important to fix it, but what are the priorities? And I'd rather save a life than fix some house.
Dr. Pearson, one word. If we close down the Capitol building today, what will happen? What's the worst thing that can happen to the country?
Well, there will be
it's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. That takes us to...
There will be no national budget because that's the only thing the guys are there for.
That takes us to our Tabata of the week. Every week, almost every day, there's some Tabata going on in the country. Colonel Freeman, what's the Tabata of the week?
Well, I will come back. Let me give you a thought.
Dr. Pearson.
You know, the funniest thing for me, the
Tabata is not funny. Tabata is foolishness.
Yeah, the funniest thing for me, the Tabata for me today was the Senate allocating $1.8 million for renovation. We do not know the extent of the damage.
And they finished doing the cost analysis, everything.
It's per senator, 200,000 per senator.
Jimmy, what's your Tabata of the week?
Let me tell you, this thing is in the face of our security. You put all your hundreds of men on campus to guard and protect the place, and right in front of your eyeball, they burn the place down. To me, that's the Tabata of the week. I have never seen anything like that before.
But remember when the legislator was saying the separation of power, Supreme Court don't talking our business. Police don't come here. We got our own police. So maybe they stop them from coming. You don't think? Anthony Freeman.
Yeah, but they went there anyway.
Well, I think I will have to go with the protests. It sounds like it's the most Tabata thing of the week. And the reason why I say it, the building like maybe is the common people, but if you look at it, it like was CDC orchestrated. And I find it shocking that CDC suddenly see the value in protests. They see the value because I remember people, Jefferson Koji were promising blood for blood, meeting people in flesh and blood. And George Weah and other people instigated violence throughout the 5 or 6 years he was in power. Throughout, I calculated the amount of violence that occurred under the Weah regime, even excluding the election. And I came to an astronomical number of the number of violence that occurred. And none of those things, there was ever an accountability. So for the same group of people who spent 5 years instigating political violence, more than 100 cases of political violence, to now come on and say they're advocating for the rule of law, accountability. I mean, it was crazy. So, but this is Liberia. Liberian people always follow their tormentors. They always cheer for their oppressors. They always celebrate the looters. And so the country continues that way until we develop what the Englishmen call common sense. When we get to the point where we start using our common sense, for example, George Weah, in any normal country, George Weah will be facing prosecution by now. The CBN order came out. We found that George Weah looted the country up to the tune of $178 million. He called it covert operation. How do you take $178 million for a country not account for a call it covert operation? He still passing around with a free man or a birthday Liberian goes to celebrate. Nobody ever asked him to account for the $178 million covert operation. But the same people get on the street and say, oh, you know, we want rule of law, we want our data. I mean, just total tabata.
Thank you. The president of the Republic of Liberia said this. He said the president called the Ministry of Justice and Security Agency to thoroughly investigate the incident and hold perpetrators accountable. Then I was reminded of the person who plowed his pickup truck in the UP headquarters. Right? What's wrong with that guy? Nobody is holding you accountable. So does anybody remember what happens to that investigation?
Dennis, by the time you start listening to the number of things that are happening under the Bouaka regime, we will not end the show. So, because right in Bouaka office, you got people orchestrating financial crimes there. And Bouaka is not doing anything. And, and people say, when I come on this show, I should be nice to Bouaka. Look, I will be nice to Liberia. Anytime I come on the show, I'll be nice to Liberia. I don't have a commitment to be nice to Bouaka. I don't have any commitment to be nice to Wea. I don't have any commitment to be nice to anybody else other than the Republic of Liberia, the people of Liberia. And he has people in your office who he should be prosecuting. He has decided he won't prosecute them, but he's going to play politics. And all that is just total tabata. But that's why the Liberian people love.
Sam Wallace said, my tabata of the week is the former speaker explaining the meaning of Amen.
Yeah, Tabata. He said Tabata the winner. Jim Lazar begging us the football to have mercy on the president. That's an interesting one.
That Alumu.
Yeah. Man, I'm a fire brand. I don't have time to polish things up. And that has been my problem for time in, time out. I don't have time to polish things up. I just say it the way it is and let the chips fall wherever they may.
The police found out who broke in Amara office and stole everything from the Capitol building from your office.
So the Capitol building has been vulnerable for a long time.
Yeah, they broke in Amara office.
But you know, the speaker of the majority bloc wrote something.
Let us not, if you want to use that, say so-called majority bloc. Let us not give credence to these things that don't exist. There's no mention of majority bloc in the Constitution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honorable Kuhn
the self-styled majority bloc. That's how we should call it.
Self-styled. He wrote something that they should take ownership of this. It was a failure and a vulnerability of their security forces. I'm glad he recognized this. And people were right. It was a mistake.
I wanted to conclude now. We have 6 minutes to close. So let's get our closing comment. Let's go counterclockwise. Dr. Pearson, Anthony Freeman, and then Jimmy. You're closing.
All right.
I just want to thank all those who follow us on the show tonight, and I want to thank those who call in into my fellow panelists. And John, thanks for having me. I just want to say to President Boykan and the Liberian people, it's a good thing that we got we put our foot in the door for the MCC compact. I just saw on Front Page Africa that the American embassy had just clarified that passing the compact and being notified that it passed doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the award. So you're the DV situation we're in right now. So we're waiting to see if we can meet other criteria, like I said from the beginning, to see if, so please manage your expectations. If you see in this video, before tomorrow we start crying on Bouaka again and start cursing him for another failed attempt. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Anthony Freeman.
Yes, I congratulate the government, the past and the current, for the MCC improvement. But I really believe that the development of Liberia is a Liberian project. The development of Liberia cannot be designed in Washington to be implemented in Monrovia. It has to be designed in Liberia, implemented in Liberia. So for me, I don't buy into it because I know that under the early regime, a total of $8 billion came to Liberia. Where were we after the early regime? We were still terribly poor. That means we have to think differently about how we manage our resources. John Weah and his group of, vandals and looters alone stole almost 200 million. He still passes around without any justice. Even though he's implicated in the audit report, the president is there, there is no justice. When you go down the street and you pickpocket, they grab you and they render instant justice. But you steal millions of dollars and people worship you. So we have a problem with what we call the value system. But we cannot develop a China aid, Russia aid, India aid, any kind of aid. We have to restructure our budget process, eliminate waste, abuse, and corruption, and use our resources wisely. Then outsider will come to do business with us. It is the doing of business with outsider. That's how we develop. Stop relying on foreign aid because it's not going to help you.
That's why when you get your goat, you feeling the goat with the cassava leaf. Soon you're losing it, going to go to the source because it says gifts never fill you up.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you're closing.
I think at this junction, it is time for sober reflection. You see, this burning of the building is not much different than when when Ellen was president, the mansion burned, if y'all can remember, and it took several years to restore. Buildings, like everything else man-made, require maintenance. And if you allow these buildings and what to continue to depreciate without putting the requisite maintenance in the budget to make sure that they're safe, you should expect these things. There's a reason why people have fire alarms or fire extinguishers in all over. We have seen this in the world, and we know the way to mitigate these risks is to have better preparation. Now, nobody lost their life, fortunately, but it can happen. So we have to have a new approach to looking at how we assess our risks and prioritize things that will save lives instead of living in opulence. That's what I see we're doing wrong. So I hopeful this is writing on the wall that we need to pay attention to how we upkeep our buildings before we lose another one. We're known. Look at Hotel Africa. Look at the Ducor. Why? Look at EVJ Roy. Why have we let these millions and millions of dollars to go to waste? This reflects something about us. And maintenance is part of development. Without it, we'll see these catastrophes. I'll leave it right there.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for tonight. I want to thank our viewers. Those watching now, even those who will watch later, always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, we close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians.